Now on to tonight's event. Catalyst Conversations is a series of casual discussions, some playful, some serious, that invite you to experience the arts through a different lens. Tonight's topic is the business of the arts with JerMarco Britton. JerMarco Britton started Soulshed STL in 2018 as a bi-weekly jam session that grew into an opportunity to empower local musicians to begin and sustain music careers. Like so many artists, 2020 threw him in a challenge he wasn't sure he could overcome. The financial burden of running an arts organization during the pandemic often felt insurmountable. Then the Arts and Education Council named Soulshed University as the winner of the 4th annual Startup Creative Competition. The competition, supported by the Arts and Education Council and PNC Foundation, encourages the development of great artistic ideas that strengthen and enhance the St. Louis arts community. Hi, JerMarco.
Hey, how you doing, Jessiree?
I know I just said a lot of words.
I know. I'm sitting here like, I gave her this paper to read all of this.
You know, I wrote it myself. Here we go. So thank you for joining me tonight and allowing us into your space. We want to learn a little bit more about you. Okay. So how did you get started in music?
Oh, man. I got started in music really early on by being exposed to it by my grandfather. The earliest memories that I have of like listening to music were sitting down with him. He had this big like chess record player, and he would just play music. And talking about the past in general is like one of his favorite things to do. But one of his, at the top of that list is music from the old school. And so I grew up listening to the stylistics, the Delphonics, all those different kind of music from like the 60s, the 50s. And I just fell in love with it, you know.
So kind of from birth, it was just surrounding you.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get the idea for Soulshed?
Man, Soulshed was like a smorgasbord of a lot of different experiences that I had in life. I started as a professional musician in 2009, a part of a hip hop group here called MME. And so I had started performing, you know, and getting familiar with the scene, meeting a ton of different folks out here on the scene. And just throughout the years, constantly having conversations with folks about how things are progressing. And fast forward, I get a job at Jazz STL. And I'm working there, I'm seeing like the music culture there. And, you know, in the world of jazz, it's like there's a different atmosphere in jazz that doesn't, in my opinion, it isn't always accessible. And just being there, I realized, man, I kind of wanted a space that was like in between, you know, something that was, you know, the people who come there are all, you know, kind of up here, and the musicians are all at this kind of high level of playing. And I wanted to just even the playing field a bit. And so I had the idea to create Soulshed for younger folks.
Yeah. That makes sense, making it accessible for everyone.
Yeah.
Because we don't all start out as experts.
Yeah.
Right. So what challenges have you run into in creating Soulshed?
Man, it is, I guess the number one challenge is after talking with folks after so long and saying, we need this, we need these, we need this. And then you create it. And the first challenge was, well, I created what you needed. Now, are you going to use, you know, what you say you need? And that was kind of the first hurdle. But we just kept on, you know, pushing and pushing. There were a lot of Soulsheds where we were showing up and it was only me, the photographer, and the DJ. And, you know, it'd be nice. We'll be sitting in there looking at each other, you know, having different conversations, of course. And then, you know, slowly one person to show up, one and two people. And then slowly but surely, the more and more that we kept at it, more people started coming. They started telling other folks, hey, there's this thing that's going on. You know, we were at Herb Arts early on. There's this event that's going on at Herb Arts, and it's free. You know, people can come through, they can jam. There's no really attitude about the music. It's just come in and just play. And I feel like that drew people in, and people just started coming, and it's been growing ever since.
So your consistency showed the community, like, this is what I really want to do for you.
Yeah.
I'm offering this because I'm a musician and I want to nurture your musicianship.
Yeah.
So come on out, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any tips and tricks for artists looking to get started in the St. Louis music scene?
St. Louis music scene specifically?
We can say specifically and in general, just the
Okay.
music scene.
The first tip that I would say is to figure out exactly what you want to do and what you're capable of doing. I feel like a lot of people have a lot of ideas that they want to implement, but sometimes the ideas aren't realistic. They aren't, relatable for who they are as a person. And sometimes all it takes is just really taking a look at yourself and seeing what am I naturally good at, and what kind of role could I really play if I'm going to pursue, this kind of business. And so for me, after having those conversations with so many musicians over the years, those conversations also usually led to, hey, man, I think you should be doing this because I see you doing this and you could be better in this area. And I think you need fine tuning here. And I started to realize that I'm naturally a person that sees kind of the potential in people and am able to just suggest, or open their minds up to another kind of possibility of what they may not be looking at. Because sometimes we look at ourselves and see everything but what we are.
Right.
And that would be the first thing, to really take a look at yourself and see what you're naturally gifted at, and to play that role and find other people to do the things that you can.
So you've been inspiring and nurturing other people's gifts along the way. And so that's what was seen in you when you were having these conversations with other musicians.
Yes.
What would you say are some of the most important things to know or to think about as you begin to transform your art into business?
Just learning about business. Just learning about business, because it's a completely different animal than being a creator. I'm a musician. There isn't much effort that it takes for me to sit down and write a song, to, sit down at the piano and come up with some kind of melody. But it's a different thing of trying to do things, in step and in order. And so learning different things about time management is something just really simple. Time management, it's a big part of business, because if you're not on top of your time, everything's going to fall apart. It's much different from, hey, I can come back and paint this piece later. If you disregard what you're going to be doing, in a certain moment in business, that can turn into a disaster later on. Yeah. My father, he's in the crowd. One of his favorite sayings he liked to say is, handle your business or your business is going to handle you. And it's definitely rang true. It's definitely rang true in my life, because I see myself, whenever I procrastinate on something and then it comes back up, I'm like, man, this is something much larger than what it originally was. Yeah. Learning about finance and banking and different things like that, it would just take you to an entirely different level if you just start to look at business just as an entity in and of itself.
So in keeping these things in mind about business, how do you strike that balance between not losing your creative edge, but also being a businessman?
It's something I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
It's something I'm still trying to figure out, because since I've been so focused on growing Soul Shed, I haven't really had the time to sit down and just, listen to some music, write a song. Now I'm writing for grant applications, writing business plans, writing out timelines for projects. And it's taken up a lot of time. But I feel like if that's something that you're proactive about and you aren't already in the process of trying to grow your business, it's something that you could balance beforehand. Because in this moment, I'm doing a lot of catch up in business. And so, I have to devote a lot of my time to getting all my business in order, versus if I had already had this mindset when I was originally starting Soul Shed, it would be more of a balance. And now I'm finding myself having more time to get back to do things creatively. And so, yeah, I would say just being proactive with everything that you're doing.
In hearing you say that, I think that's easier said than done because, like you said, you were playing catch up because you were in full creative mode.
Yeah.
And so you kind of learned the business as you were in the business.
Yeah.
And it came when it needed to come. Like you were in that space. Okay, now I need to get serious about this business part, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Because really kind of, I had started reading a book on project management maybe about 1.5 years ago. And I started implementing different things with the team, like starting to have meetings, asking them about, hey, what do you think about how we're running things? And really starting to realize that I can't do everything by myself. That's what the book kind of really opened my eyes to. And starting to really think in more of a kind of a leadership role rather than just always on the ground, and empowering other people to, take those leadership roles. And so that really got me to thinking about, okay, well, how can I get better at business overall? And, working with the people who are working with me. And then when we got the grant from you all, I was like, that's a large amount of money. I probably need to learn how to handle all of this money.
Yeah.
And so I really started to get into learning about finance and business, after that.
Now it was time to take what you were learning and take that theory and put it into practice.
Yes.
For sure. In what ways do you hope to change the landscape of art, specifically music, within St. Louis?
I really want to use the organization that I have to use music as the vehicle for personal development. Because that's what I'm aiming to do with Associate University. That's what I'm aiming to do with the Associate Jam Sessions, for people to come and kind of explore. But it's also, even though they're around other folks, it's still a very personal thing, because you're taking a chance every time you're getting on the stage, you're taking a risk. A lot of folks who are creatives, they deal with a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, a lot of different things that they have going on. And so I want to be able to push people through music to start thinking about, how can I become my best self? That's why we have in the Associate University program an aspect of wellness, so people can start thinking about their diet, thinking about physical fitness, thinking about their mental health, because we want to create well-rounded individuals. And music already has that effect on us as individuals anyway, as a practice itself, because it helps with our ability to learn. It helps with our ability for time, all different kinds of things that are involved in the practice of music. And so taking that and being intentional with drawing out that aspect of music, and really starting to develop a community here in St. Louis where people are thinking about, how can I really advance myself? And how can I really connect with others? And just using music as the backbone for that.
So a very holistic approach to music and being a creative in this city and in this region. Since you gave us a little bit of what Associate does, can you go into detail about Associate University?
Okay, so Associate University, right now, as it stands, it's a 12-month arts development program. And so we cover topics on music business, music education, music performance, and wellness. And so we try to cover everything that's generally in what you would possibly find in like an academic program at a university level. But we're changing it up and employing musicians who are right here in St. Louis. And so everyone that's been coming on, as everyone that we've been contracting for the Associate University program, are musicians that I've built relationships with for like the past 10 years. And just me taking a look, once again, applying, what my gift, and be like, hey, I think that you will be able to teach a really good class on this specific thing. Do you think you'd be interested in doing this? And so far the answer every time, fortunately, has been yes. Yeah. And so, but what I'm also trying to accomplish with that is to begin connecting people to seeing, okay, these are the people this is where you're at currently. someone who's stepping into their career as a musician. All right, we're contracting this person here who has 10, 15, 20 years of experience being a professional musician. We're bringing them right here in front of you as a resource to learn from directly right now through this program. But also once you make this connection, you'll be able to have this connection throughout the rest of your time here in St. Louis. And so being intentional with, who we're bringing in the program to start building connections and just start bridging the gap. And so the program is really, once again, for a person who's kind of getting into their career as a musician and who may have already started, but they need the foundation to really take it to the next level.
I like that you are putting all of these different pieces into place and you are building a community within a community, but making musicianship and business accessible at all levels. One of the aspects that you mentioned was wellness of Social University. What motivated you to bring that into the equation?
Musicians have the tendency to be, I guess you could say it for like any group of people, but musicians have the tendency to be living very unhealthy lives that I've personally, have seen. And it could just be just anyone really, but my community is the community of musicians. And so I've seen people who have fallen away to drugs. I've seen people who have, gone through psychosis, depression, all different kinds of things. And I really wanted to be proactive about that because I want to be encouraging people to really take care of themselves and to really begin to take a look at themselves. Sometimes, we get caught up in trying to, well, I'm not advancing, so much as I could be as a musician because this person and that person and that person, and we never take a look at ourselves and the habits that we have that are keeping us back. Not being on top of our physical routine, is a reflection of different things that we have going on in our lives. That could be a lack of discipline. And so encouraging folks to start being more disciplined in their fitness or in their diet, it'll spill over to, okay, well, now I need to get more discipline in my music, in my practice, in my networking with other folks, in my business. And so, it's keeping, it's all connected. It's all connected in my mind. It's all connected. And so, that's the driving force behind that. And also to get folks out of drugs. Yeah. A lot of musicians are heavy on the drugs. I was doing weed and, drinking and so on and so forth. And I realized, wow, I'm waking up every day, smoking, going to work, high, working all through the day. I come home, smoke, high, go to sleep, smoke a blunt before I go to sleep, high. And then I realized how unproductive that I was and how much really me smoking was really not me taking care of other things in my life. And so once I was able to stop leaning on that crutch, I was able to really be more productive. Oh, it's my phone. Yeah.
It's okay. That happened. That happened.
Once I realized, then I was spending a bunch of money. I just did not understand. And I look back on it now, I'm like, wow, I make less than what I'm making now, but I don't understand how I was spending so much money on all of these different things that were not propelling me forward. But stopping doing those things yielded absolutely great positive results in my life. And so, I want to encourage other folks to be doing the same, because I know it'll have positive effects.
Yeah.
So
I appreciate that. You're encouraging people to not only nurture their gifts, but nurture themselves to be a better vessel for their gifts.
Yes.
Right. So can you tell people how to find Social University if they are a local musician or they know a musician and want to get in contact with you and take some classes?
Okay, so Social University, we have our website. You can visit us at socialuniversity.org. We're on social media at Associate University. You can follow us there. And you can just come out to one of the classes every first Tuesday here at the Centene, 3547 Olive Street, 7 o'clock. First Tuesday of each month, we have a class here and someone teaching a different class related to music or wellness.
Okay. So I really appreciate you taking this time and sitting down with me and discussing the business of arts and everything that you've been through to get to this point. We are not ending right now. So our interview portion is over, but we are going to transition into the jam session. So can you tell people what to expect for these next 15 minutes?
All right. Well, for these next 15 minutes, you can expect to hear some of the best music that you've possibly ever heard.
Okay.
Featuring
So
St. Louis
Jessiree,
musicians.
we have some
So how
questions.
often does a jam session take place?
The jam session is every third Tuesday of the month.
Okay.
Questions?
We,
All right.
we won't transition just yet.
Yeah, we've got some questions in the chat. So this is a good event. I would like to know if he sees himself encouraging those jazz musicians that he described as being up here to maybe help mentor the population that he's reaching out to.
No.
James, are you?
So while we are getting the question portion together, can you all ask the questions again in the chat? If you recently entered it, it may have gotten pushed up. Can you just re-enter your question so we can make sure we get everyone?
Or you can ask the question live if you like.
Or you can ask the question live if you like, if you want to come off of mute.
All right, I'd love to ask that question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I've really enjoyed this. This has been really, really good. And what I wanted to ask, when you described early on, you described some of the sessions that you've gone to, and jazz musicians usually are way, up here. And so, and some of the population that you're trying to reach, they don't quite have those skills. And I guess my question to you, because it sounds like you're doing some great encouraging, some great mentoring. Are you looking also to connect those musicians who are more advanced, and maybe even the population that are drawn to them, that are in the audience? Or are you looking at encouraging them to help mentor those that you are attracting, or that population that you want to bring in, a connection, if you will, between the two, so that experience that those more seasoned jazz musicians have can then be shared with those newcomers or those who may not be as skilled, and that journey that they've taken, because it's a journey, that journey that they've taken, share some of those ups and downs and maybe help them to prepare for the journey that they will take. If that makes sense. I hope that wasn't too long.
No, it does. It does make sense. That's something that we haven't proactively been doing as of yet, because right now we're just focusing on the pocket of musicians that we're working with right now. But that is something that we'll be looking towards doing in the future. And some of the people that we've had for the classes are some of the more seasoned musicians that are here within St. Louis City. We've had Lamar Harris come and do a class. We've even had Gene Dobbs Bradford come and speak to some of our students here. And Gene Dobbs is the president of Jazz St. Louis.
Yeah.
And so we are looking to make that bridge. It just isn't something that we've done proactively yet.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that, Gene Bradford was really a good one. I brought him in to talk to some students. So he's a good one to connect with because he's got a lot of contacts. And so I just want to tell you that I really respect you, young brother. I am so proud of what you're doing in this community, and you keep on doing it. I think your testimony is amazing. And I am really encouraged just to listen and watch you tonight. So I thank you, and I'm going to continually lift you up because you definitely have a job to do, and you're about the business of doing it. So I'm really proud of you. Keep doing it.
Thank you.
So a couple of more questions in the chat. If you could go back and start your music or business career over, would you do anything different?
Oh boy.
Loaded.
Oh man. No, I actually would not. Because I feel like my experience has been very unique, and because of the things that I have experienced, it's allowed me to have a different perspective on approaching music and approaching the business of music. I went to college for 1 year for music business, and did not, of course, complete my time at college due to, not having enough finances to continue. And so I was sent back home, and I had to try to figure things out all over again. And that led me to doing a bunch of different other things. I've had the opportunity to run a radio show. I've had the opportunity to, work for Jazz St. Louis, one of the premier jazz venues here. Had the opportunity to work with different community organizations, and of course, meet a bunch of different musicians here within the St. Louis community who have aided and added to a bunch of the experience that I've had. And so, yeah, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it.
One more question. What's next for Soul Shed?
What is next? Next for Soul Shed is to continue building out our foundation here. And then we'll be looking towards getting a building space for Soul Shed to be housed in, so we can house all of our programming, have an official staff and employ everyone. And then we'll be looking to spread Soul Shed nationally. And then later on down the line, we'll be looking to spread Soul Shed globally.